Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Aging and Spirituality podcast. We're very excited to be speaking with you today. I am going to be talking about something that I have been experiencing recently myself on a very personal level. I hope this explanation and me being vulnerable about what I'm going through is going to be very helpful to some of you out there. I feel like I have been walking a tightrope in terms of being able to stay centered in spirit, but also paying attention to the news. At one point in my life, I thought I was going to do journalism. And so I have an innate interest in the news. It's very hard to look away from at this point in time. And so I try to monitor how much I actually do listen during the day. Yesterday, or on the weekend, I think it was Saturday, I was feeling sad, just really sad about all the things that are going on in the world. And I felt like when I got up on Sunday that the whole Ukraine situation had really blown a fuse in my heart. I felt like I was just really flatlined. Like I was really trying to tune into my heart and get that flow going, and just my body just wanted to weep. And so I'd let myself for a while just feel really sad about the whole thing and what's going on in the universe, because there's so much going on. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. And then I got thinking about it after, and I wanted to talk to my friend Chris, who happens to be right here, about this. So I thought I'm going to save this for the podcast and ask her what she would have done, because in a lot of ways, I was trying to tune into my body and really feel what was going on in terms of, my back was hurting, my knees were hurting. I had all these symptoms going on that felt like they were second chakra blocks from what I know about the second chakra. So I wanted Chris to just talk about, okay, what would be that feeling of, blowing a fuse, like you can't feel anything and all you feel like is just, I just have to exhale, and I can't, really tap into that juicy source of feeling loving, because I'm processing whatever's going on in my mind and body. And, how much of that I'm probably creating by myself by listening to the news, which would be great if I could just look away, but I can't. That's just not my personality. I feel responsible to pay attention and all of those things, and send prayers and do all of that stuff. So sometimes it can be really exhausting. So I'm going to just stop talking for a minute and have Chris respond to the situation with the heart, and maybe what this has to do with the second chakra. And we can hopefully say some stuff that will help some of you out there as well.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't want you to stop looking at the news, because it's important. We need to know what's happening, because we can bring our consciousness to it. Paramahansa Yogananda, a very great yogi, he said he would watch the news every day so he knew what to pray for. But you're a very caring person and very empathetic, and your heart's open. Right. And so it's natural that you're going to feel, it's a horrible situation. You're going to feel what's going on there. But the thing is, you don't want to get stuck there, because that's not helping them, and that's not helping you. And go ahead.
But is that what I'm doing when I pay attention? This is okay. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. I'm watching the news, and there are times when I'm perfectly capable of going, God, that's freaking horrible. And I can just go right back to where I am in my being and in my heart. And I'm not celebrating that this is going on in the world, but I'm also much more in tune with who I am and how I feel. But it feels like this is also a huge opportunity to recognize the duality of the world, recognize what's at play here, and grow into a place where I don't know what the word is, not contain, but hold space for what is happening, which is chaotic and horrible and all of those things, but still capable of coming from a very loving place. And I feel like I can do that. But this was like a first time I felt like I wasn't able to come back on that bridge and get to where I normally can be.
That's because the pain is so deep, I mean, the pain may go back, many lifetimes for you, who knows? But, I too, when I watch the news and I see what's happening in Ukraine, it's just devastating. It's very
Yeah.
devastating.
Yeah.
And the thing is to be able to get back on the bicycle, like when you're riding a bike and you start to fall and you want to get back on it. And so you're in your heart center, which I think is a great place to be. And then you want to tune in and say, okay, what is it that I can do here? What can I do with my consciousness?
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, you can't go to the Ukraine and fight or bring food, but you can. You could.
Oh, no,
maybe.
you want to. You want to.
You want to, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, like Max, the dancer said, he had survivor's remorse. He was going back,
Yes, right.
But once you want to step back and try to center in the soul, just try to get in and ask, or ask higher consciousness, what would you have me do here? What can I do? And that can kind of shift you into lending your consciousness to it. Maybe it's a prayer, maybe you're sending light and energy. I don't know what. I mean, could be anything, but it's good to feel in that depth, but then you have to go somewhere from there, because you can't bring it into you. One of the things that happens when our hearts open, we become very sensitive. And one of the things that Ramakrishnananda taught us at the Yoga Center was to protect ourselves when we go out, so that we're not just absorbing everyone's energy. We want to feel what's going on. We want to be open, but then we want to radiate consciousness to it.
Right.
And not let it, not bring it in and let it debilitate us.
And that's really the difference in the practice of yoga, is if you're very empathic, but you don't bring in and hold on to those feelings. Right. You can let go and feel compassion. That part I kind of understand. But I want to bring back the idea of the second chakra being blocked. Is it possible? Because really the second chakra, if from my understanding, and correct me if you know better, is about, it's your emotional guidance system, really. It's bringing you into understanding why you do what you do in the non-dual world. You're basically either in pain or pleasure. You're moving towards one or moving away from another, correct? So if you get stuck there, how do I know if that's a second chakra block? And if it is, what would I do about that? It's causing me pain. Somehow I'm stuck in the second chakra, like assuming that, I've cleared out a lot of emotional, maybe trauma from early childhood, those kinds of issues. Let's assume that the chakra is clear of that kind of trauma. But when you see pain at the level that you do going on in the world right now, is it possible that we can get stuck in the second chakra? And if so, what would we do?
Yeah, you can get stuck in any chakra when you see that. The second chakra, there are different views about that. The second chakra is the place where when it's blocked, there's, when it's very tense, there tends to be a lot of sexual energy. You tend to be seeing people more as objects rather than a whole human being.
Yeah.
And when it's open, there's an incredible serenity. There's a serenity that fills all the time. And I don't think, from what you're saying, that your second chakra is blocked.
Okay.
I think that you're experiencing a very real thing, this pain in the heart center. And there's just some part of you that hasn't, it's so deep that you haven't moved forward to let it go, you're bringing too much of it into yourself. And, second chakra, there are things you can do for the second chakra if there's an issue there.
Mhm.
And one of the things is piercing the chakras. You can do this for any chakra. And
Okay.
one of the things is you inhale and you bring energy up from the base of the spine. You bring it about half an inch to an inch above that chakra, and then you exhale and you can chant Om or just let light and love fill that chakra. Just let it radiate. And you can do that several times. You can inhale and bring the energy up and then drop it in. That will help to open that chakra if there is an issue there. I don't know if there is or not. My sense, my intuitive feeling is that you don't have a blockage there.
Okay, so let's assume I don't. And, this experience that I had over the weekend of just feeling like I literally blew a fuse, like poof, you just can't keep feeling that anymore, like this is too intense.
Right,
Like I guess the body gets to a place where it's just too much energy, it's too much
right,
input, it's too much something.
right.
And it just feels like all of a sudden that flow, which is what made me think of second chakra, that flow, kind of like a water feeling, is not accessible for you, and I really like had to sit and pay attention what's going on in my heart, and it just kind of felt like a desert, like an empty, I don't know what's going on here.
Your heart felt
So
like
walk
that?
me through, what would you do if that happened to you?
Okay, let me understand this. You said your heart feels like it felt like a desert after this happened? Is that what you were saying?
Like, yeah, because there was like a wasteland there. Like it literally like a fuse. If you were going to blow out an electrical circuit, there's no receptor there to hold the energy, to experience the energy, to have that flow going through your electrical system in your body. And then because that feels so empty and I'm used to feeling full in my heart, it was, kind of like vast, like, oh, does this ever end? This is just like, oh my God, this is never gonna stop. I want to, reverse the film and go back to where I was so I can feel good again.
Yeah. Okay. So this to me is definitely it's something that's happening in your heart. You overcooked your heart a little bit. You overcooked the heart center, and
Okay.
uh,
Overcooked it.
yeah, I mean,
Blew out the circuitry.
you blew out the circuitry. And the best thing to do when that happens, I mean, like, the body, there's so much spiritual energy within us. And, when you're having those feelings, you're probably having such deep feelings that
Yes.
the energy was very strong and intense. And
Yes.
so what you want to do when that happens is you want to do this. There's two practices that help to calm down the energy, and you pick the one that you like better. One is like tropical rain. Just sense that tropical rain is pouring down over you from the top of your head to your feet, and just let it relax you. Just let that tropical rain relax you. Or you could do it with snow. You could do it with snow, either one. I grew up in New York, I don't like snow. So the tropical rain works for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had an experience early on in my yoga practice where someone said something about me that was just, it was devastating. And they said that, Ramakrishnananda said it. And so I went and talked to him. I had this pain, it was like daggers in my heart. I felt like little daggers in there.
Mm.
And so I went and talked to him about it. And it turns out it was not anything he ever said. This person, just said that. But he said, but because you wanted to deal with this, because you thought it was a problem, you've got so much energy moving that, your heart center is just not able to quite handle it. And so he had me do that practice for quite a while until everything calmed down.
Okay.
And then the heart opened bigger after that.
That's interesting.
And so that's,
That's an interesting thing that you say there, because I really started to question after it happened, because I saw some similarities in experiences that I had after I had an NDE, which was 30 years ago, right?
right.
But what that experience does is flips the idea of the time-space continuum on its head.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll have experiences of time that are not what people would expect, not non-linear. One of them happened to me the other day, and I'll go ahead and say this. I'm going to sound like a lunatic, but this is what happened. I was sitting there working on something, and I was tuning in to the process that I was doing. So I was probably in an altered state of some kind. But it was like the time continuum just kind of opened up, and I saw this feather literally come down and land on the ground. And my mind was just like, oh, that's nice, like, well, that's great. And I go to Google, what does a white feather mean? And then I realized I'm in the check like that. And you start thinking, wow, this stuff is all fake. You start seeing things like totally differently, so that probably, scrambled my energy at the same time.
Yeah, it probably did. And that's, because you have a lot of energy, it's the spiritual
Yes.
energy, we call it Shakti. But another thing that's really great to do is to lie down in Savasana on your back with your arms are up, your feet are 12 to 18 inches apart.
Right.
And you lie there as if dead. And that's
as if dead.
As if
and
dead.
You just let the energy like move over you.
Yeah. What it does is it takes ego out of the picture. If you're dead, your ego's not going on, right? It's still going on, but we're as if dead. And then you're as if dead, and everything just, it balances out. Your ego gets out of the picture, the energy calms down, and it's very balanced. It's an amazing practice.
Okay, I'm going to do that after we stop talking. I think that's probably a really great thing to do.
Try to do it for about 20 minutes if you can, if you have the time. Like before you do it, maybe you chant Om or mantra a couple times, and then when you come out, do the same thing. But it's a really, I think it might be just what's right for you right now, because it sounds like you had some profound experiences, and that's a lot of energy. It's like Sri Ramakrishna says, it's like the difference between 100 watts and a million watts filling your body.
Right.
You want to recenter, but the as if dead practice not only recenters you, but it does it in a way so that the energy is moving, but it's going to be more easier to handle.
Well, okay, so I'm waiting for the recenter part. I don't feel recentered yet. I'm going to just do something here. Yeah. And here's part of the reason. After the time thing, and then my heart doing the fuse thing, and I was like laying there thinking, you know what? How it was an experience of what do you leave when you leave your life, when you transition into the next phase and you are looking back at what it is that you've created in this lifetime. And I really got thinking about, how have I made a difference? And I started to wonder, maybe that was what these experiences were really pointing to. Were they having me question, what is the most important thing that I can do with my life right now? What is the legacy that I want to leave?
That's probably true. And, the thing is, we don't want to get into a place, a mental place where we're trying to figure out, what we're supposed to be here to do. What you want to do is to center. Just try to get yourself back into the soul and ask, or even don't be in the soul. Just ask. Okay. Ask higher consciousness. Ask the Lord of your heart. Just say, okay, what is it? What is it you want from me here? Is this it?
Yeah. What are you trying to tell me, kind of thing?
Yeah. Show me. What,
show me, which is, which you can't do if your heart feels empty and there's no flow and your body feels like it's, burnt out. You got to get first back to feeling relaxed and comfortable and all those kinds of things. And then you can start asking, okay, show me. Okay. So that really helped me, because now I know I'm not losing my mind, and all of those things happen. And for a reason that I need to, this is where I need to be paying attention, because I really do feel like, at my age, and, this is to everybody listening in the twilight of their lives as well. I'm sure you have had moments where you're like, what am I going to leave as a legacy? Some of us have kids, some of us have careers, some of us have done service jobs our whole lives and they feel fabulous about it. And there's lots of things that I've done that I feel fabulous about, but I also feel like there is still something calling me. I also feel like there's things that I can do in the next 10, 15 years that could have some kind of positive impact, and in the biggest sense of the world, when you look around and you see all the things that are happening in the world, probably doesn't mean a lot to the whole big picture, but to my picture, to my world, to my life, to my service, it means everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's important, to
Yeah.
your service, whatever that service is. And
Right.
the thing is, you talk about the next 10 or 15 years. My mother-in-law is 95. And
Yes.
2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago now, she had she was in the hospital and they said,
Right. I
relatives,
remember. Yeah.
you better be here right away. She's not going to make it. She had a near-death experience, came
Right.
back better than ever. And better than ever. And she told me, and she told my husband after she came back, she said, it was so peaceful and beautiful on the other side. I wanted to stay. And she said, I saw everything I do down here is just busy work. And she said, but I knew I had to come back. There were things I still had to do.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of it. Who knows? I mean, maybe what she had to do was just be herself and be more pleasant. I mean, I don't
Right.
know, whatever it is,
That's the thing. For as long as you're here, I feel like I need to continue to grow. Whether that makes a difference in the whole macro picture of the universe, it's not going to stop what's going on in Ukraine. It's not going to really affect anybody's world but my own, and for whatever reason, I have to go through this for my own particular growth. And that's how it felt as I was trying to put these pieces together. This may not be important to the next gal, or somebody may be listening and thinking, oh my God, that's how I feel about what I'm trying to decide to do with the rest of my life. And what are my choices that are going to make me happy and make my path one that feels fulfilling, and that I made the choices, the right choices, the best choices for who I am.
That's the key, the best choices for who you are and what
Right.
what your inner self, what your soul wants to express.
Right.
I mean,
What my soul wants to express. That is the question of the day. Oh gosh. That's probably a great place to launch off of this conversation. But I really want to just ask you if you have any other thoughts about how people who may be in overwhelm, may be experiencing chaos right now with all of the things that are going on in the world, all the changes that are happening. Is there anything else that you want to suggest they do, how they can be more comfortable and more centered in their own self?
I would say the best thing to do is just sit down. And if you've never meditated ever, it's okay. Just sit down, watch your mind, just witness it. Just don't get absorbed in anything. Just try your best. If you are a meditator and you have a technique, recall the best experience you've had and try to go from there in the meditation. And if you've never done it, just witness your mind. Just try to watch your thoughts and feelings like you're watching a movie or a children in a playground, but you're not getting involved. What that does is it takes us out of this place we're in now, and it puts us into a place the yogis call the buddhi. It's a very clear, calm place that allows insight from our inner self to come through.
Right.
So those are some quick things I think people can do in the spur of the moment.
Those are fabulous. I'm glad I asked that question. And because I did, I also have to say, please go to yogacenter.org. That if you have never meditated or learned to meditate or are afraid of it or don't think you can do it, I promise you, this lovely lady here will teach you how you can come and practice with us any day of the week.
Yep.
And it'll be the best thing you've ever done for yourself in your entire life. That I can say without doubt.
I would agree with that without doubt too.